I formally convey my presence.
How you doing?
We are not used to physical contact greetings.
Germs.
Look, I don't know if you guys know it, but you're out of toilet paper.
Did you say toilet paper?
Oh. They used handfuls of wadded paper back in the 20s.
I'm happy that you're happy, but the place where you're supposed to have the toilet paper, you got this little shelf with 3 seashells on it.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
I can see how that could be confusing.
I don't believe it. Is that you, Spartan?
No. Zach? Zach Lamb? What happened to you?
I got older.
My God. I remember when you were a snot-nosed rookie pilot.
They finally grounded me.
Shit. You're a damn good flyer.
You are fined 2 credits for a violation of the verbal morality statute.
I'll be right back.
They seem to be friends, yet he speaks to him in the most profane manner.
If you had read my study, you would know that this is how insecure heterosexual males used to bond.
I knew that.
Thanks a lot, you shit brain.
You are fined. You are fined 5 credits for repeated violations of the verbal morality statute.
So much for the seashells. See you in a few minutes.
Leonardo. And so you just can't, what you try to do, it's like you forge your little niche out and just keep working. Because the next thing you know, I've been doing this for 25 years.
You know,
I'm
my
still
favorite
working.
story that you told, it still is, out of everything that we've ever heard on this show. You know what I'm going to say?
Which one's that?
When Rob was the one, I believe, maybe I got it wrong, you were the one who told me the Steven Seagal story.
I got one for you.
You got a new one?
Oh, that he wrote the greatest screenplay.
I got the
Wait, but tell that. Wait, just for anyone who's never heard that, tell the first story.
Okay, there's a writer that I know, and I won't mention his name, but he was meeting Steven Seagal for the rewrite, for the writing, potentially, for Under Siege 2. That was the one that broke him when it made $57 million, when that was $57 million in the early 90s. And so he goes into one of those trailers to meet with Steven Seagal, and he's on the set, and it's one of those big triple bangers where you go into this trailer and it's like you can get lost in there. It's a maze of pop-outs. Which pop-out is Steven Seagal? And he's in the 3rd bedroom to the left and the end of the hall.
Big star.
And he's waiting in there for 45 minutes. He's making him wait, sitting there by himself. Finally, Steven Seagal emerges from one of the other ante-rooms in the mobile home. And he comes out and he said, "I just read the greatest script I've ever read in my life." He goes, "Really? Who wrote it?" "I did." But I will say there's a newer one, and I think it's even superior. This has happened. I just heard that because I collect those stories like jewels. Anytime there's a Steven Seagal story, I love the Jamie Presley one. Where it's, "I'm an expert in shiatsu massage. Please let me massage you." You told me that one. And next thing you know, she's having her boobs grabbed on by him.
I'm an expert in shiatsu.
Let me give me those titties, baby. So anyway, he's doing a movie. He's doing a movie with Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Right.
And I did one, and that's where I heard Keenan tell me this story. I hope he doesn't mind me telling this story. But Steven Seagal had just met with the Dalai Lama. And apparently, if you give enough money to the Dalai Lama's charities, eventually you get something out of it.
Right.
And so the Dalai Lama made him a deity.
Wow.
A god. Some Tibetan Buddhist.
So really appealed to his ego.
Oh, yeah, no, it must have. No, so anyway, he comes to the set after he meets with the Dalai Lama, and he's a god. He comes to the set, now he was Steven Seagal, now Steven Seagal. Now he's Steven Seagal, the god, the deity from the Dalai Lama. And he comes to the set, and he's there, and Keenan says, "So what? I just met with the Dalai Lama, and he, in his wisdom, decided to make me a deity." And he gives him the karang-a-ding-da-dong, whatever. And I feel a difference. I feel like an enlightenment, a sense that I can do something now. And everything just seems to come into place for me spiritually and in my career. And I feel like it's certain things now that never made sense to me make sense to me on a universal level. And his assistant comes up to him and says, "Hey, Steven, your ex-wife called. She can't bring the kids over this weekend. You tell that fucking cunt."
Deity.
Let him in, Bravo.
He's the nation's top counter-terrorist.
Delta 1, you're good to go.
But on his final mission...
Negative. It's not him.
He missed the target. Now, there's only one man who can put him back in the game.
Whoa, I bet that hurt.
That hurt.
I need merchandise. The best.
Sorry, I'm closed for tonight.
You're open now.
A world-class arms dealer.
Did you open that?
Yeah.
With a flair for destruction.
I don't know, man. I look at you, I see nothing but trouble. What the hell? I kind of like trouble.
Their styles are different. Very different.
Offense gets the glory.
But defense wins the game.
But against an international conspiracy...
I need a partner.
I'm the man, baby.
They'll be at each other's side.
Yes! Behind you! Oh!
And in each other's face.
It's me.
Jack's coming. Take care of business. They have no idea what they're up against. Now that makes it personal, mister.
Can you fly a plane?
Like a bird.
Does your hair change color when you sweat?
Bruce, airball. You need practice, man. I'll never miss twice, brother.
Jean Claude Van Damme. Dennis Rodman. They don't play by the rules.
Sorry.
Double team.
Who does your hair? Siegfried or Roy?
No hurt jokes today, okay?
Live from the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network studios, It's Nothing Worthwhile presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean Claude Van Damme. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Guthius.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
But who cares? Really? Felt like they missed an opportunity with Friday Night SmackDown a little bit.
Felt like what?
They missed an opportunity. Like the standoff between Roman Reigns and LA Knight, I felt like LA Knight's promo was a little weak. When he said to LA Knight, "Who are you? Who are you to stand in my ring?" LA Knight's 40 years old. LA Knight's probably been in wrestling longer than Roman Reigns. I would have liked for him to just pull back the curtain and be like, "Who am I? I've been 40 years on the independents, cutting it, tying it off, TNA Impact, name all the companies." I would have liked a little bit more instead of The Rock like Stone Cold over the top. I would have liked for him to really, I don't know. All right, am I being too...
No, I think you're spot on. I wasn't expecting you to just drop the audience into mid-conversation there. But
hey, this is how we flow.
It is how we flow. So I agree with you. And every time I hear the music and the pop, I'm like, yeah, on one hand, you have to go with the crowd, but I don't want this dude to burn out. You're going to have to move the chess pieces. Like if they're going up right to Reigns at this point, which is what it looks like, I would not expect him to win because I still think it's going to be Cody.
Agreed.
But so once you move, I guess I'm surprised they're going the way they're going because I expected them to go the other direction. So maybe they would do that. Maybe they would, after he's done with Roman, maybe he's the one who takes it from Rollins eventually. And he maybe builds up that title. But I'm just worried about where they go after Roman Reigns.
Here's the thing. I think Roman Reigns does a phenomenal job, similar to Ric Flair. Roman's going to go in there. He's going to win, but he's going to make LA Knight look like $1 million. And if they're smart, they'll use that loss, hopefully, to motivate. And then when they'll eventually maybe circle back to LA Knight and Roman, maybe at some point, and they could use that sort of to flesh out maybe a more complete storyline.
Okay. And that's hey, anything can work because they're just firing on all cylinders. I just worry about like burnout. I'm like, I don't know. There's just it's like when somebody shoots to the top immediately, the downfall can be just as big, as quick.
I don't want to get on a wrestling rant. We are in Van Dammit. However, I don't think that I thought that they actually slow burn this. That was some of the complaints where they were going to LA Knight. Remember, all the way back at Mania, we thought maybe he'd win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal at SmackDown. He didn't. So I think that they've done a pretty good job of bringing him in slowly. It's not like they shot him right to the top of the card.
Yeah, you're right. But at the same time, I'd like to, before he gets to Roman Reigns, I'd like to see him do a Royal Rumble or something. Like, he hasn't had these big moments yet, other than just like just now.
He's not had that Stone Cold Bret Hart moment. He's not had that one singular feud where he tangled with the guy and had to overcome some odds. I do agree with that.
Yes, but listen, everything from my perspective right now, everything that they're doing is working because it's supremely entertaining. So, who am I to criticize? So.
One thing supremely entertaining, Andrew, of course, is as we look at our package, Demolition Man, the 3 seashells.
I can't really see my package anymore.
Okay. There's, of course, the Rob Schneider telling the Steven Seagal story on Howard Stern. What did you think of that story, and any thoughts on that?
It's the only.
We're conversating here.
The only thoughts I have is that it's just more of the same, just nonsense. I hadn't heard it in a while, so I remember hearing it a while ago. I hadn't heard it in a while, but it's the same hypocrisy. It's the same thing. The same.
You know what though?
Holier than thou. But I'm still a human being.
Watching it, of course, made me long for the more freewheeling Howard Stern show. But that aside, it's what makes me love and not hate Seagal, but dislike him. It's again, taking himself way too seriously.
Yeah,
he's an auteur, and then when nobody's looking, it's cursing, calling this one a C word, and it's just perfect. It fits. I think my favorite story, which we didn't hear but we talked about, which was I love the Tom Arnold story because they actually asked him, "Do you want to practice and block this scene?" And Seagal refused, and then, according to Tom Arnold, literally walked out of the wrong entrance and fell into the ocean while they were filming on a boat and had to be fished out of the water.
See, those kinds of stories are interesting to me in a way, from a perspective that I try to give you, because like people having that kind of behavior on the set, it seems like it doesn't seem like it actually happens. But it does, and how one little thing can infect hundreds of people at the same time. Because a movie set is, I don't know, I guess a factory or a machine where every part has to be working at the same time to get what they're trying to do. And if one part screws up, like if makeup loses something that they need, everything has to stop because they can't shoot unless the makeup is right. If the hair people forget the thing, if the continuity people screw something, so it doesn't even matter who it is. So it's just more fun when it's the people we know. So when I hear stories about Seagal doing something weird on the set, I remember people doing weird things and shutting things down because of it. It just gets such a weird vibe. Like
shutting things down because of a diva actor or actress.
Yes, I've seen that. A writer is pissed off about some kind of dialogue or something, or they're arguing about money or whatever, and it just everything comes to a standstill. I don't know what to compare it to.
I would imagine if that happens, you've got to get that mediator out there and try to work through that problem quick.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Time is money.
I've seen it at the highest level. I've seen. In South Dakota, I have seen Jerry Bruckheimer, the Jerry Bruckheimer, fly in for an hour to just sit and solve a problem in the lobby of a Radisson hotel with the director and one of the producers, and then get out of there. Like,
well, I would say hearing that Jerry Bruckheimer probably did the right thing and got his ass over there to solve that problem quick.
Yeah, because guys like him, when you look at if movies enough, which I think you do on a level where you're looking at credits and you know who the main producer is. Right. You've heard of that guy. You got all these other people say produced by this guy, but that guy, you would know a Jerry Bruckheimer, you would know a Brian Grazer, a Steven Spielberg, you'd know all that. So they're the guys who aren't really hanging around the set. What they're doing is they're saying, listen, this is the greatest script I've ever read. These are the best actors you're ever going to get. This is the amount of money you have. You got the best director. Everything is set up. All the pieces are in place. Make me a hit. And if you need me, I'll be over there. And that's what a Bruckheimer is. He's a master at just getting the best of everything. And he's able to just say, no, we're not. That's what's got me the most excited about the Beverly Hills Cop sequel, because of his stamp on it. So it's just interesting about how movies are made.
Yeah, I saw that there's a Murphy trailer for it's called Candy.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about it.
All right, of course, but you'll throw there's Andy's egregious Eddie Murphy product.
Come on, did you not look at that and think about what? I thought we were going in the other direction.
Yeah, well, yeah. What can I say? Evan Moody live from Phoenix, Arizona. Andrew Gruthius live from Coconut Creek, Florida. Welcome to Nothing Worthwhile, episode 112. We're back doing it Van Damme style today as we take a look at Jean Claude Van Damme, Dennis the Worm Rodman in 1997's Double Team, all of that, plus Spanning the Universe, Money Shot. We got it all. One thing you're watching this week. Before Groo and I double team. Oh, yeah. Let's check out the latest news on our favorite 80s action star. It's time for Van Dammit, Spanning the Universe.
Van Dammit, Spanning the Universe.
All right, Spanning the Universe is brought to you by New Life Center. Begin a new you. Check out all of their wonderful laser treatments at www.newulifecenters.com. That's NUYOU, lifecenters.com, or give them a call, 602-274-0068. Tell them Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. New You Life Center. Restore your youthfulness with confidence. Let's start that new you. Free consultation, customized services, feel good in a stress-free environment. That's New You Life Center. Groo, Arnold Schwarzenegger and ex-wife Maria Shriver famously parted ways in 2011 after his affair with the housekeeper Mildred Baena.
Yeah.
Ever see Mildred Baena?
No.
Not quite the
but
looker.
I just love it when these guys are messing around with the babysitter. I love it. It's great.
The Terminator star will be on an upcoming episode of his friend Rob Lowe's podcast, Literally. The former politician joked that Lowe took Maria Shriver's side in the divorce. Let the story be told that since I got divorced from Maria, you haven't been around much, Schwarzenegger stated. The ex-bodybuilder went on, you wanted to prove to her that you're loyal to her and not to me. The kindergarten cop star then confessed that he and Lowe don't hang out as much as they used to, and he misses the Parks and Recreation actor. We had a lot of fun, and you came over to the house all the time. I missed all that stuff, Schwarzenegger said. He added, maybe eventually you're going to wake up and say, I can hang out with Arnold again, and Maria's not going to decapitate me. Schwarzenegger and the broadcast journalist, who's 67, married in 1986. They remained cordial after their split and shared children, Catherine, 33, Christina, 32, Patrick, 30, and Christopher, 26. Arnold had fathered son Joseph Baena with the housekeeper in 1997. Schwarzenegger opened up about his extramarital affair with People in an interview published earlier this month, saying it was, quote, his F-up. My chapter with Maria will continue on forever, he divulged at the time. Even though it's a different relationship, there's no reason for me to feel anything other than love for her. Not much here. Arnold seemed to Can't Get Over former F-boy Rob Lowe took Maria's side on the divorce.
So are you saying he was already, and he went on to the podcast, or he's going on to the podcast?
No, it's already been filmed.
It's already been filmed.
Yeah, so I guess it's not much. He's friends with Rob Lowe, but he's saying Rob Lowe ghosted him once he got divorced.
Great. All right. That's all I need to hear. So this is why Arnold is the best, okay? Because this is why Arnold would have been great if he did more with WWE, because this guy knows how to draw money. All right? Arnold is trying to sell a book right now. He is everywhere. And he definitely said, let's take this Rob Lowe shit and make it into something. Let's have some fun with this. So what we can do is we can go on, I could go at the UO podcast. Maybe we could go on Howard together. We could, like the Kaufman-Lawler thing. That's what I see Arnold like going on, maybe in his head, just saying, this is, I'm gonna milk this for all it's worth. Just himself saying, all right, so we're going to do this and then we'll do that. I totally see that and I totally respect it. The guy is a fucking genius. I love him.
Yeah, like at least with this interview, he took an angle. Like the Stern interview was just so middle of the road.
Yeah, but he's trying to accomplish something. He's, as Bully Ray would say, he's telling the story.
Oh, gosh. Are you coming around to Bully Ray as well now?
No, I really he bothers me in a lot of ways. And he actually validates what I have heard throughout the years, that a lot of people within the business do not like him. Like, really? He is locker room poison. And I remember something specific. I think you were gone from camp by this point, but we brought back those wrestlers. And it was the same company, but they send different people. And so I'm what you were at the time. When you were there, you were the liaison and you set up everything. And since you left, now that fell into my hands. So I was the guy speaking to them. So I was just talking about wrestling and stuff. And I mentioned, and Bubba Ray Dudley, he and I went to the same high school. And they're like, yeah, fuck him. They're all like that. I'm like, what do you mean? He's such a douchebag. He's most political. Like all of them were like that. And I was like, interesting. And then I've looked into that, and that's that we're going back 15 years at this point. So I've always heard those kind of whispers about him, and I get that vibe. Even he's got heat with the Rollins right now because he probably spills a little bit too much, and they probably go at it because it's just you can't be in the business and expose the business at the same time.
I think you're being a bit harsh here.
Well, maybe, but it's because I compare him to like what Maven's doing on the other side. He's out of the business and he's doing what he's doing. I don't know. It's just
no.
I enjoyed it. Okay, here, he's a heel to me.
Go ahead, Andy.
Bubba Ray is a heel but Bully Ray is a heel to me. He's good at what he does.
Right, just get to your point, please.
I just don't think I'd like hanging out with him.
That's a completely different thing. But he's a paid prognosticator now. He's no different than an ex-athlete who's on NFL Today. So he's on a wrestling show and he's critiquing the wrestling shows. And now, if you want to say, look, he still has his finger because he's still an actor performer, fine, I'll give you that as a fair criticism. I look at him simply as a broadcaster, and I did not like him initially because he was very over the top with his New York accent. He's toned that down a little bit, and he's a little less shticky, and so I've enjoyed him more as a pure broadcaster. But the other stuff, I mean, you're talking about some D-level performers at a summer camp. You're not, if you said,
but I just hear that's the general feeling about it.
All right. I got 2 words.
And I can see that. And I can see that. I can see that.
No, you can't. Stop
yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
All right.
I can too.
All right. Anyway, Moonlighting is back. ABC groundbreaking romantic comedy series starring Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis arrived October 10th. I'm sorry. Do you want the floor now?
No, but go ahead.
Thank you. You want to?
No,
you want to do notes, research?
No,
production.
you stole my. What am I watching? I gotta come up with something else.
All right. Well,
all right. Don't worry. I got a plan B. Keep going.
All right. 30 years after its final fade out, quoting creator Gordon Caron, we tried to get the show on Disney Plus when it was first announced, and the Hulu situation developed when we explored that. Quote, about a year ago, my agent reached out to Hulu, and they really got the ball rolling. Moonlighting grew, in which Shepard and Willis play quirky private detectives. Madeline Maddie Hayes, a former fashion model, and David Addison Jr. Premiered in March 1985 as a mid-season replacement, but viewers soon discovered it was anything but a replacement. Moonlighting shattered a lot of primetime conventions, noir texture, breaking the fourth wall, characters speaking directly to the viewers, lengthy soliloquies and rapid-fire dialogue. The chemistry between Shepard and Willis was obvious from the get-go. I do remember that all the way back as a fan. Moonlighting rocketed a previously unknown Bruce Willis into stardom pre-Die Hard and confirmed Sybil Shepherd's star power in her first ever regular series role after a string of hit movies in the 1970s. We got Alice Beasley playing rhyming receptionist Agnes DePesto, and Curtis Armstrong playing her love interest Herbert Viola. Groo Moonlighting amassed 41 Emmy nominations and a 1987 statuette for Willis, quoting Sybil Shepherd. And then we'll end this real quick. We broke all the walls. There wasn't a wall we left unbroken. It was an extraordinary combination of the right casting and a brilliant creator. A lot of times people don't want to give the creator credit anymore. You might think of Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel, but in this case it was Glenn. He was not afraid to break the rules any way he could to make the show great. So that's part of his genius that you can't deny. People are going to laugh when they watch Moonlighting, and they're going to get the dramatic parts between everybody in the show and the great chemistry between Bruce and I. The brilliant writing of Glenn Gordon Caron with the comedy and the drama and everything all pulled together. ABC didn't believe in this show enough to let us try to get away with it, and we did. Groo, all 5 seasons of Moonlighting are now available on Hulu. To see the greatness of Sybil Shepherd and one Bruce Willis, thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, that stole my number one. What am I watching this week? Because I have been watching specifically the 5th season of Moonlighting, because I've seen it. I watched it when it was on. I enjoyed it then, and I enjoy it even more now. It's fun to watch. They're never going to make shows like that again. And just to see how really great Bruce Willis is, he really is something else. And you could see right away from episode 1. I did go back and watch the pilot. You could see, like, all right, this guy's going to be a star forever. So yeah, Moonlighting's awesome. I'm glad it's streaming.
Yeah, I think for me, I know you mentioned Bruce, but all the way back as a viewer, the chemistry between Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd was really palpable.
Oh, yeah.
And you could really feel it. And I was a young guy back then watching it, but I was right there. Like, my heart was aching, hoping they would hook up.
Yeah.
So I remember the chemistry was really fantastic.
When that bastard Mark Harmon came in and stole her from when we wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
Or am I going to get too deep into this?
Groo, I'm going to just go there real quick. There was another Bruce Willis follow-up in which Moonlighting creator Glenn Gordon Caron has said that he's still good friends with series star Bruce Willis, who is battling the neurodegenerative disorder frontotemporal dementia. Quoting Glenn, I know he's really happy that the show is going to be available for people, even though he can't tell me that. Caron, 69, told the New York Post of Willis, who has retired from acting amid his condition. Quote, when I get to spend time with him, we talked about it. I know he's excited. The process to get Moonlighting onto Hulu has taken quite a while, and Bruce's disease is a progressive one, so I was able to communicate with him before the disease rendered him as incommunicative as he is now. Quote, I know it means a lot to him. Glenn Gordon Caron says he tries to see the die-hard actor every month or so. Quote, I'm not always quite that good, but I try, and I do talk to him and his wife, Emma Hemming Willis, and I have a casual relationship with his 3 older children. I have tried very hard to stay in his life. He's an extraordinary person. The one thing that makes his disease so mind-blowing is that if you've ever spent time with Bruce Willis, there's no one who has more joie de vivre than he has. He loved life, just adored waking up every morning and tried to live life to the fullest. Caron said he does think that Willis recognizes him when he visits. Quote, my sense is the first 1 to 3 minutes he knows who I am. He's not totally verbal. He used to be a voracious reader. He didn't want anyone to know that, and he's not reading now. All those language skills are no longer available to him, and yet he's still Bruce. Groo sounds like Bruce Willis' condition and is certainly not getting better, but downer, but just wanted to go over that.
Yeah, every time I hear that, it's such a bummer. It really is. It really is a bummer. There's no other way to put it. It sucks. But listen, he probably lived more in a day than I've lived in 48 years. Look, the guy did some good and had some fun. So if this is what takes him out, a life well lived, I don't know. They're talking like he's dying. Does that mean he's dying? No, I've read other things other than what you said.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead then.
I've read other things. They're talking like slowly but surely. This is going to be what I don't know, and it's just a bummer. No,
the last 2 minutes were it's a bummer. I don't know. This is what's going to. I think if there's a bummer, it's when your mind goes, then you go, and I think that's probably the saddest thing for any individual.
You forget how to eat. You forget how to swallow. You forget how to do the things that are normally involuntary. That's from what I understand. That's how.
Yeah.
That's what eventually kills the people who are taken by it.
Yeah, and I do love to eat, and I do love to swallow. Oh wait, could you edit that out, please? Thank you. Groo, moving on to Sly Stallone. Really not much here, but less than 2 years after Sylvester Stallone bought a 2.2 million acre ranch in LA's San Fernando Valley, the property has changed hands again. Records reveal that the speedy new owner is music legend John Fogerty, originally of Creedence Clearwater Revival fame. While still a huge sum of money, the $17.2 million Fogerty paid is well under Stallone's $22.5 million asking price, and it is also $1 million less than what Rocky himself paid for the keys back in spring 2022. It appears Stallone made almost no renovations to the place during his short ownership. Groo, any quick real estate thoughts on the passing of property from Rocky to the dude who wrote Centerfield?
No, it just seems every time these guys sell their property, it's to somebody else who's like a superstar. Do these people have friends outside their circles? I know the people that I've spent time with do. Like they have more friends outside their circle, outside the Hollywood circle, than they do inside the Hollywood circle. But it seems like all these people. Billy Joel sold his $7.8 billion ranch to Adele. It's like Howard Stern sold it to Jerry Seinfeld. It seems like everybody is selling theirs. I don't know. I don't know.
When you're
is that what it is?
Wow, you are really on a roll today.
It's just
I would imagine you're talking about millionaires and billionaires. So who are you going to pal around with? Fellow millionaires and billionaires, and you're going to probably meet people through your profession, which is acting and entertainment and agents. And this one, hey, this guy's putting his property up for sale, and I have a client who's looking. I don't know.
I guess maybe you get a bike.
Hold on, I'm not
done. That's a good point.
Oh, thank you. I'm not reading any more. I'm not reading any more into it other than I don't know. Maybe they have mutual people in the biz, and that's it. So
very good point.
Groo, another fun Stallone remembrance is Demolition Man's 3 seashells. Yes, 3 seashells. Thank you, Andrew. The weird seemingly throwaway detail in the 1993 film starring Sylvester Stallone, Sandra Bullock, and Wesley Snipes has long been a point of contention among fans, and now we can put at least one aspect of that debate to bed. Where exactly that detail came from? To briefly recap, Demolition Man, which was released 30 years ago, is about a 1996 cop, Stallone, who is frozen and reanimated in 2032 to help stop a criminal from his time, Wesley Snipes. The future is filled with all sorts of excellent, hilarious details. Taco Bell and one that is humans no longer use toilet paper in the bathroom. They use 3 seashells. The film offers Groo no explanation of how exactly 3 seashells would help a person clean up, and it doesn't have to. It's just an imaginative, somehow futuristic bit of world building unrelated to the plot. But you instantly think about it. In an interview that recently surfaced on X, one of Demolition Man's writers, Daniel Waters, explained where he got the idea. Waters couldn't think of something futuristic in the bathroom, so he called friend and fellow writer Larry Karaszewski, who wrote Ed Wood and The People vs. Larry Flint, who happened to be in the bathroom at the moment. He looked around, saw some seashells as part of a potpourri set, and mentioned it to Waters. The rest is history. How exactly does one Groo use the seashells? That's a whole other debate that does not have a definitive answer. Groo, Stallone ass-wiping trivia at its best.
For those of you who have had to do number 2 at like stadiums or places like that, you'll know
I have.
You'll know that we all have experience wiping with seashells. So there's nothing new to that story to me. And I know there's nothing new to it to you.
No, I've been caught at concerts, Monday Night Football.
I know, but they got the cheap stuff in
stadiums,
there. They got the cheap stuff in there.
I'm so stupid. I was with Andy. We went to Tampa post-COVID. We went to the first WrestleMania. They had 25% capacity. And we go for dinner. We went to that sports bar. And like an idiot, I get chili for dinner.
The sport, and you mean Hogan's?
Or Duffy's maybe we went to? Like in Tampa. We were in Tampa.
Didn't we go to Hogan's?
No, we did go to Hogan's, but the dinner before night 1, we went to Duffy's. We went to Hogan's like the night before or 2 nights before when we first got into Tampa. Yes.
All right, I'm forgetting, but go ahead.
You have no memory.
You're right.
Concerned.
You should be.
Hold on. Let me call New Life Center, 60227. We need to put Groo on Ginkgoba Biloba.
Well, tell the story. Maybe the story will...
The shots in the air.
Hang on. Tell the story.
We went to Duffy's. I had chili. We went into that ridiculous rental car. Remember your car crapped out when you got that box?
Yep.
And literally we pull up to the stadium, and I had to go in like the porta potty, and it was just like a nightmare. And then the whole rest of the night I was just burning ass. And then remember we had the weather delay, and the guy was like drunk, like coughing all over us.
Yes,
post-COVID.
I remember all that. I remember all that. I'm just not remembering.
Wow, this is scary.
I'm not remembering
really
the dinner.
Scary. Oh boy,
was that when we were like in that? You're sure it was at Duffy's? It wasn't that. It wasn't that. No, that was in L.A. All right.
We went to Duffy's, and then we just drove to the show. Like Dallas, both nights we went and we got like Subway, and we just...
No, I know that, but you're talking Tampa. All right. I'm going to have to figure that out later.
It was a fond memory to me. Yeah. What's going on here? I feel like Glenn Gordon Caron.
Shut up, you bastard.
You mentioned Jerry Seinfeld. Ironically enough, I do have an item about Jerry Seinfeld. He's not an action star, but he's from the 80s or 90s. And Jerry Seinfeld hinted that a reunion for the popular sitcom may be in the works during a recent performance for his comedy show, Seinfeld 69. Teased that he and co-creator Larry David were working on a special project for fans. I have a little secret for you about the ending, but I can't tell you because it's a secret. Here's what I'll tell you, okay? But you can't tell anybody. Seinfeld began in an Instagram video that was shared by Boston Global Media CEO Linda Henry. I did hear this clip. I didn't save it for the show, but something is going to happen that has to do with the ending, hasn't happened yet. And just what you are thinking about, Larry and I have also been thinking about it. You'll see. So the audience was heard cheering in the background. So I guess he did a comedy show. There was Q&A. And some of the people said we disliked the ending to the original run of the Seinfeld show. The iconic sitcom ran for 9 seasons, Braxton, from 1989 to 1998, airing 180 episodes. Seinfeld, the series, was nominated for 68 Emmy Awards, won 10, and is widely regarded as one of the best comedies, one of the best television shows of all time. Groo, thoughts on a potential sequel or reboot or whatever of Seinfeld?
There's no way they're going to do that. They're coming up with something maybe for like somewhere in the Curb Your Enthusiasm universe, or
well, they already have. So we have.
I don't see them.
This is a definitive. I won't go 100% definitive, but this is 90% going. We may touch we're going to call it Seinfeld now, Curb, and we're going to take it from the ending, or we're going to reimagine the endings to something that's, quote, more satisfying.
Then you know what?
Let me finish your thought. Let me hear your thoughts, because I have my own as well.
Okay, so then you know what? Then if you want to be innovative, I guess it's innovative, or maybe Breaking Bad did it. I don't know. But you take that and you make one episode, a half hour. You don't do a season. You don't do a reboot. You don't bring it back. You just do one episode, tie up the loose ends, or do something, one special thing. I don't see them rebooting and having a reunion show that's going to have to chase ratings. That's going to have to. I don't see that happening.
Okay, so to your point about Breaking Bad did a movie on Netflix called El Camino that followed Jesse Pinkman, the character Jesse Pinkman, after the end of the series, which I actually rewatched a couple of weeks ago, and I still enjoy it. And if you're a fan of Breaking Bad, I encourage you to go watch El Camino on Netflix. Now, I apologize if I made it seem like a reboot. I agree with you. I think it's a one-off. It's a one show. It's a movie. It's a one-off. I'm not a fan of this, actually. I'm one of these guys that is very particular about, quote unquote, going home again. Yes, the Seinfeld ending was perhaps a bit wonky, but it is what it is. If Larry David is involved, I will be open to the idea, because I think Larry David is a genius. I think Curb is still a show that is really funny and is able to still be funny in a world that's not very funny anymore. So that aside, I got to be really super careful here. If it's not a six-star production, then I rather them leave well enough alone. That's my thoughts.
Yep, I agree with you, and I don't think they're gonna even try to do that. And there are a few that succeed, but most fail.
Oh, we have an agreement there.
Yes, we do.
Andrew, we always like to include a little bit of our love of professional wrestling. The wrestling world was watching last Tuesday night the showdown between WWE, NXT, and AEW, All Elite Wrestling. Dynamite grew. NXT handily beat AEW Dynamite in the latest Tuesday Night War. Now, AEW is typically on Wednesday, but for something it got moved to Tuesday. And so we had a star-studded, garnered 609,000 total viewers, down 24% from the previous week, with a 0.26 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. NXT drew 921,000 viewers, up 7.5% from last week, a 0.30 in the very welcome 18 to 49 demo. Tuesday, Groo was a special evening that brought out the best in both WWE and NXT, with WWE rolling out the red carpet with A-list talent for its third brand. As a result, both NXT and AEW put their best foot forward. In addition to advertise big names, main roster stars, you've got LA Knight, Shotzi, even Jade Cargill made a surprise appearance. AEW relied on professional wrestling against NXT star-studded variety show, and according to Forbes, predictably went down in flames. WWE wasted no time hyping main roster stars such as John Cena, Paul Heyman, Cody Rhodes, Asuka, Becky Lynch, and even an Undertaker appearance. They all were advertised for the show, which would air commercial-free for the first 30 minutes. And yes, as I did say to Groo even off air, they did tease the Undertaker as well. AEW Dynamite loaded its show with a Title Tuesday where multiple AEW championships were on the line, also featuring Edge's Adam Copeland's AEW in wrestling ring debut, and answered NXT's 30 minutes of commercial-free programming with at least 30 minutes of commercial-free programming of its own. We already went over the ratings. Let's see here. It says here WWE has adversely impacted AEW's viewership for a third time in the last 4 weeks. NXT No Mercy, WWE Fastlane each went head-to-head against AEW Collision. Oh, that's their Saturday show, leading to historically low viewership for Collision. The September 30th broadcast was the least watched Collision ever. Groo, what's your take on the latest Tuesday night matchup?
I don't think it was. I'm surprised that everybody else was so surprised. AEW is basically, unless I'm mistaken, AEW has 3 different shows. They have what? Dynamite, they got Collision, and what else?
I think that's the 2. They may have something on YouTube, but that's the only 2 they have.
All right, so they got those, and they're pretty much equal. It's not like this one's bigger than that one. It's not like WWE has Raw and SmackDown over here, and then NXT.
I like to respond.
Yeah. Right.
I like to respond.
Okay, go ahead.
It's Moody and Groo.
Yeah.
It's not the Andy Gruthia show. My God. I give him a pep talk every show. I say, let's not talk over.
One can dream. One can
dream. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Listen. We're still big in India. Anyway, no, what happened with them with the 2 shows is they did a brand split.
Hello,
because
darkness, my old friend.
You got your volume went down.
It did?
Yeah.
Well,
hold on. I'm making mine a little louder.
Everything's good on our end.
They did like a soft brand split where one show was to be CM Punk and pretty much all the wrestlers that vibe with Punk.
That went well.
And the other show was going to be the other guys who don't, and then obviously CM Punk's gone. So they have like a soft brand split. I don't think one show is positioned. I would probably say that the Tuesday show is bigger just off the top of my head because it's during the week versus a Saturday show, which I'm assuming viewership is not very high on a Saturday, just traditionally for a television product. Would you not agree?
I would absolutely agree, but I think the situation here is that the only thing coming out of AEW right now is Edge or the rated R Adam Copeland or whatever they're calling him over there. I watched the first appearance and that's it. Not interested in what's going on over there. I think AEW has its fans. WWE has its fans. And guess what? I rarely watch NXT, but of course I watched it on Tuesday. So of course that's why NXT destroyed AEW. Otherwise, it probably would have been more like neck and neck.
See, now you're being fair, and I appreciate that point because that was my biggest criticism being a WWE fan, and I do watch NXT fairly consistently. I'm not going to claim I watch it as consistent as Raw and SmackDown. I didn't really care for the NXT show. I thought it was almost like I was thinking of watching it. What would I say to you on the podcast? It felt like a crown jewel back in 20. It was like non-canon. Like it, a lot of this stuff. Not a lot of it. Let me take it back. Cody Rhodes, okay, he's going to come out and announce the Dusty Rhodes stuff. Fine, that makes a little bit of sense to me. Him being the general manager makes no sense to me. LA Knight is a special guest referee, makes no sense to me. Asuka fighting Roxanne Perez, that makes sense to me because Asuka's an NXT legend and they reference her undefeated streak in NXT. Fine. Cena works and he's such a pro on the mic. I didn't really mind Cena. I'm sorry. I know you'll probably disagree with me, but like The Undertaker coming out, you got Braun Breaker, who's one of your probably top 2 prospects in NXT, and you're going to serve him up to a 56-year-old, 57-year-old Undertaker. I get it. Just didn't really care for it. It felt like you would call, I remember you used to say the old Crown Jewel shows, they were like All-Star with Goldberg and this one and trying to cram every big name. I did as an overall NXT show. I really didn't care for it, and I thought it felt like an All-Star game, and I'm not a huge fan of All-Star games. So as just a pure fan, I get the ratings. Glad WWE won. I'm a WWE guy, but as an episode of NXT, I wasn't that jazzed about it.
I'm gonna give my response as doing my best Bully Ray. I don't know if I can, but I'm gonna try.
Go ahead.
If you don't think that NXT on Tuesday moved the needle in any way whatsoever, let me tell you something. If the NXT Tuesday wasn't good for you, and it wasn't good for me, if it did one thing, it showed me how good NXT can be and made me want to watch next week.
Okay,
and
so
that,
let me interject.
How was that? Was that okay? Was that all right?
Yeah, your Bully Ray impression. Otherwise, are you? Is this a goof, or are you saying?
I'm saying that because of the show might not have been that great as far as a wrestling show and what we're used to and whatever. It was a little uneven. That being said, having the old guys there, or not the old guys, the current guys there to give a rub to these guys, I saw what NXT has to offer really for the first time and how good a lot of them are. And
they sure are.
And now I'm like, you know what? Even though that show wasn't great, yeah, it was fun to see, and the Undertaker thing didn't make sense, but it was still cool to see. I want to watch NXT next week. So if that was the purpose of the show, which is what it should be, then they win. Okay? I am uninterested in what happened in AEW that night or any other night.
That's fine. I do think that's somewhat of a valid criticism of the WWE. Hey, you had to load it up. I would have almost preferred. And look, they did what they had to do. They wanted to put eyeballs on their product instead of Edge's debut with AEW. Now, my criticism back to AEW would be they've done nothing with Edge, though. He's essentially the same character. They've not put their little cool spin on it. He's got the same music. And I've only watched the brief one or two YouTube clips, probably like you. Again, you could see what they're going to do with Jade Cargill, the WWE's. I loved the promo for Brian Pillman Jr. So excited to see this dude on NXT now.
Yeah, but they're not even going to call him that, and I think they should.
That's fine.
I think
they gave
they
a
should.
reason. They gave a reason. No, they gave a reason why. That's going to be the whole angle. That his dad was so out of control that he hates wrestling and he's going to take wrestling down from within. And yeah, it was really cool. Like he has that retro mullet, and they had all the old WCW and WWE clips of his dad. That got me super interested in Brian Pillman Jr., who was an AEW guy who didn't do much while he was there. So I don't want to belabor the point, but Groo, I do want to say I want to thank the great Monique Verdugo because she let me know about this. Speaking of wrestling, Groo, Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White are ready to step in the ring for the trailer for the upcoming wrestling drama, The Iron Claw, which is A24, the entertainment company that distributed 2022's Oscar-winning Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It's the first look, Groo, at the long-anticipated film, which chronicles the real-life rise of the Von Erich wrestling dynasty in the 1980s. What is The Iron Claw all about? It's written by Sean Durkin, The Nest. It's a sports biopic that tells the true story of the Von Erich brothers who rose to prominence in the 1980s in the competitive world of professional wrestling. The Von Erich boys are subjected to their father's harsh demands and vain ambitions as he pushes them further the legacy he created as a wrestler in his own right 2 decades ago. But we know that their ascension to superstardom is plagued by tragedy. You've got, let's see here, Zac Efron, James Allen White, Harrison Dickinson, Holt McCallney, Maura Tierney, and Lily James. Iron Claw, Groo, will be released December 22nd in theaters across the United States. Andrew, let me cue this up, please. Let me do this, and here we go. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. A24.
All right, ladies and gents, a really cool new Hollywood studio. I love A24 stuff. All right, Groo, it's for your viewing pleasure, the trailer for The Iron Claw.
Ever since I was a child, people said my family was cursed. Mom tried to protect us with God. Pop tried to protect us with wrestling. He said if we were the toughest, the strongest, nothing could ever hurt us. I believed him. We all did.
Morning.
Pants tomorrow, please, David.
Harry, I want you to join your brothers in the ring. Yes, sir. I love that. Now, we all know Harry's my favorite, then Kev, then David, then Mike. But the rankings can always change.
What do you want in life, Kevin Bonner?
More ribs?
Efron didn't do steroids or anything.
Be with my brother.
What do you like to do with your brothers?
Hey now. The sound isn't coming through very good. I can see it.
We're here to install justice. You don't hear sound? Wrestling Federation that Al Falls
It's just not
with his own two hands.
the talking does. When they play music, it doesn't really come through very well. So I'm just describing it.
We're a lot.
I love the 80s, like the sort of early 80s, just like T-shirts.
Yes, sir. Oh, man, that makes me so happy. I'll talk to you about something, Mom. Dad's too tough on us. You gotta say something.
Baby, that's what your brothers are for.
Feel that? You feel that? That's pressure.
I want one of those. I want a ring in my backyard.
I'm fine, kid. Seriously, I'm just saying. I'm
I
scared.
want one of those.
I'm out of
Motorcycle.
control.
Jesus, Zac Efron, what did you do?
Think about my
Look at him.
Your job is to wrestle. Live up to that deal. We are free.
There's no way you do
Watch
that.
the trailer.
Well, I can't.
We know he did steroids.
No, I
The only
can't.
thing that matters to me.
I'm filling it in because the sound isn't coming through very well, so I'm just describing it for the audience. The Iron Claw. Yes. I'm not.
Thank you. You did a great job with the TDD description.
I tried. It wasn't the.
Anything in wrestling terms to put himself over. Let me start. I think this looks phenomenal.
It absolutely does.
Look, I don't know. I will be in the theaters to see this, but let me toss it to my partner, Andrew Gruthius. What'd you think of the trailer for Iron Claw?
It looks phenomenal, and when a good movie about wrestling are always good. And I'm not that familiar with the Von Erich story, surprisingly, but they were never part of WWE with the exception of Kerry for a little while. But so I was always aware of them, but I didn't really know. I don't know their story, and that movie makes me want to find out. And I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I think just the aesthetics of the film, the look, the 80s, like you said.
Yeah.
Clearly, you could see the Freebirds. They have and then there was a little clip of someone being Ric Flair. The look is really rich, and I'm looking forward to it as a wrestling fan. Yeah, the trailer for Iron Claw grew. Today's Van Damme podcast, 1997's Double Team, is brought to you by New U Life Center. Meet the New U team. Actually, they're doing their photo shoot today at www.newulifecenters. Of course, I'm home like a loser, hand in my pants. With my hand in my pants, I rub the neck and I write them a check, and they go their merry way. Yeah. We had open house yesterday, and it was really, I was very proud of my future wife. It was packed, and a lot of customers and friends, and it was really nice. All kidding
Great to
aside,
hear.
yeah, it was really nice. And
Thanks for the invitation.
sister. Oh, you're not going to come. You're coming down for a full week. We have the Andy Gruthius suite. We'll have the fresh
true.
bedding.
Oh, yes.
You may have to just put up.
Those eider down comforters. My God.
You did like it.
Good.
Are you being
I
joking
them.
or what?
I was not joking at all. I loved them.
Loved it.
I absolutely loved it.
Chocolate
God
titties.
God
Well,
damn it.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed the room.
Yeah.
We enjoyed having you. And so Andy's coming up a week before the wedding. We're going to all go see Bruce Springsteen, Marie, my brother Andrew. We're going to see Bruce in Arizona to kick off the nuptials week, and should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun, and it'll mean a lot to me seeing Bruce. It'll be Marie's first Bruce show.
I'm hitting the clubs with Mitch and Gary.
All right, you do that. They'll take you out for sure. For sure. It'll be that same bar that my dad goes to where all the senior citizens go, and and that's like it's a weird dating subculture. It's like watching The Golden Bachelor, but it's neither golden nor bachelor. All right.
Oh, very good.
I don't know. My dad takes me. I forget. It's called the 92nd Street Cafe, and they're all the young waitresses are like in their 30s and 40s, and like, "Hey, Mitch," and I just feel dirty. I want to wash my hands after I eat my patty melt.
The usual. Two of the usual.
It's all bar food. Yeah.
Give me some bread for the table.
I got to eat, Dolores. I got to eat healthy. Cobb salad with extra tomato. Throw some spinach in there if you can.
And double the bacon.
Yeah, and then it's 2 glasses of wine. Yeah. That's my dad. Extra.
And a shot of Casamigo.
Yeah, I gotta eat healthy. Extra tomatoes, and then 2 glasses of wine. All right, this is going to be a phenomenal one. Double Team is a 1987 action comedy directed by Hong Kong filmmaker Sue Hark in his American directorial debut. It's written by Don Jacoby and Paul Monis. It stars Jean Claude Van Damme as counter-terrorist agent Jack Quinn, who's assigned to bring an elusive terrorist known as Stavros, played by Mickey Rourke, to justice. Groo Double Team was filmed on location in Antwerp, Belgium, Nice, France, Arles, France, and Rome, Italy. They do have some sweeping locales in Double Team. Groo, let's go right to the casting. Jean Claude as Jack Quinn, Dennis Rodman as Yaz, Mickey Rourke as Stavros, Paul Freeman as Goldsmith, Natasha Lindiger as Catherine Quinn, Valeria Cavalli as Dr. Maria Trifoli. I always throw it to Andrew after the casting. There's really not a lot of stuff out there about Double Team to chew on, but I'll ask you anyway, Groo, what did you think of the cast of Double Team?
Mostly amateurish, with the exception of 2 people. One would be Paul Freeman, who as is Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark. He was good, and I liked his role, and he did it well. And I did enjoy Dennis Rodman's performance. I thought he was good. And as far as like people that I know, that those 2 plus Jean Claude Van Damme, that would be the only 3 that I was familiar with going into this movie. So,
you're not familiar with Mickey Rourke?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mickey Rourke. You know why? Because I think Mickey Rourke thought he was filming another movie.
Oh, fuck yeah, Andrew. Oh, my God. I don't want to get to my review right off the bat, but...
Did I hit a nerve right there?
Well, my thing, watching Mickey Rourke made me think of, I think you'll appreciate this analogy, watching Mickey Rourke and his mannerisms made me think of when we went and saw Andrew Dice Clay like in the late 90s, when Dice was in a half sold out Florida amphitheater, but he was still doing the same shtick and didn't recognize the reality of it. I felt like Mickey Rourke here is trying to play Mickey Rourke from like 1988, and it's just a one-note performance. First of all, I don't want to get away.
So let's not. So let's right. Go. So, but the answer is it's a C-level cast. It's a C-level cast.
And that's my thing is they move away from the Van Damme playbook here, which is maybe they didn't feel that way, but typically Jean-Claude movies are Jean-Claude and a deep, if not unspectacular cast. And here, there's not a lot of depth in the roster. I'll just say.
Well, that to me, that is spoken for by lack of money, because it costs money to get the good people, because the good people are also the well-known people, and that costs money. And they obviously did not spend the usual Van Damme level budget on this one.
And again, don't want to get into final thoughts, but so my question to you would be, because I noticed that as well, I don't know. Listen, Last of the Action Heroes. I don't know every single movie and every little thing, but I'm assuming, generally speaking, we're coming off of Sudden Death was a very big, if not the biggest Van Damme action movie to date. And then it feels like here, it feels everything's cut in half. I don't know. Do you have any insight to that, or what could have Okay.
My answer is I really don't know. But everything you said was spot on. This feels like they don't know what they're trying to do.
Okay.
And
I think that's a good point.
And and the only thing I'll just start by saying is that it's a very misrepresented movie. Okay? It comes across as this comedy buddy action movie, Jean Claude Van Damme's Glimmer Man, what Steven Seagal did with Keenan Ivory Wayans. When these guys,
I would say Glimmer Man accomplished that report.
I'm saying
much better.
But this is how this is represented. This is not Dennis Rodman. It's not Jean Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman in Double Team. This is Jean Claude Van Damme in Double Team, and Rodman probably isn't even the second lead. As far as I'm concerned. So it's very misrepresented. So that's one thing that kind of took me by surprise and piqued my curiosity a little bit as I was watching. Might not necessarily be a terrible thing. Let's see where it goes.
I'm curious to hear Andrew's final thoughts. Double Team was rated R for some nudity and brief, strong language. The plot synopsis. That's what
it was rated R?
Yes.
When was there nudity? I missed it.
I'm touching myself. No, I don't remember.
And I remember saying, I remember Rodman saying shit twice, and I don't remember any real over the top violence except maybe when he sliced his finger. And there was some. It didn't feel like an R-rated movie, but okay, all right,
whatever.
I don't think I watched like the edited version.
No, let's just say this. It doesn't bode well for a film when it's on YouTube for free. There's 19 different versions. There's English, French, Pakistani. I could have watched the movie in several different languages. Groo, the plot goes like this. Counter-terrorist officer Jack Quinn misses his target, Stavros, on the eve of his final mission.
Yeah, now, can I stop you right there for a second?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Right there. Stavros. Why not just be fucking real and say, let's switch these names? We got Mickey Rourke and Jean Claude Van Damme. And Jean Claude Van Damme, we're calling Jack Quinn. And Mickey Rourke, we're calling Stavros. Yeah. What are we doing? What are we doing?
There's very little Stavros in Stavros. And quite honestly, there's very little Jack Quinn in Jack Quinn.
Exactly. That's my point.
You're right.
But no, they just go with it. All right. They go with it.
Really good point.
Yeah.
And you know what? Would this have been a better movie if Rourke and Van Damme switched roles?
I'll save that for final thoughts.
All right. From there, Jack Quinn is sent to the colony, a rebirth for presumed dead assassins. He breaks free from there and seeks the aid of Yaz, a weapons dealer, for his final battle with Stavros. Groo, you want to get to some movie fun facts?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's do Van Dammit movie fun facts.
Nothing Worthwhile presents Fun Facts.
All right, Groo, movie fun facts. Mickey Rourke underwent a serious martial arts regiment to obtain the physical appearance in the film and to prepare for his fight scenes with Jean Claude Van Damme.
Bullshit, he was becoming a boxer.
Yeah.
Wasn't this his boxing phase?
He was. He's really buff in the final fight scene.
True.
You talk about steroids. I wouldn't be surprised if he was on a little something for that. He's really big in that final scene.
Yeah, but I mean, it's nothing he didn't do for the wrestler 10 years later.
Probably,
Yeah.
but I would expect it, for the wrestler. Groo, the original spec titled The Colony was written by Don Jacoby and sold in the $1 to $1.5 million range in July of 95. It was set on an island off the coast of Greece that serves as a safe haven for CIA agents whose cover is blown and centered on a man escaping the island in order to seek revenge on his arch enemy. Jean Claude Groo thought it was a great script, but he stated that it was extensively rewritten and the changes made the final movie a bit too cartoonish. What do you think about that?
Yeah. It's if anybody thinks that what script made it to screen is actually a good script, I think they need to get some better glasses, because there is no script. It's just one thing happens, then another thing happens, and then just when you're like starting to feel a little something, it says, "Oh, more movie has to happen. Look over there." This felt like a lot of different pieces of several different puzzles being jammed together, and so I don't see a cohesive script here. Maybe it once was, but not what's there.
That point is the point that I took from this, which is the colony is an interesting idea.
Yep.
And that could have been fleshed out into a super cool movie.
Yep.
But then they rewrote it and made it just one little piece in this movie. The notion of an island where failed CIA and super agents go and they're kept there by some kind of UN, some Illuminati type, and no one's
Which you never
escaped.
come to really understand, by the way.
Understood, but that's what I'm saying to you. The colony itself I found to be an interesting notion.
Yeah.
And could have been fleshed out into maybe a really cool movie. Instead, it becomes one little piece in a movie that I'll give you my overall impressions on, but I thought they missed the mark here. I do agree with Jean Claude. He's probably looking back on it now and saying all these rewrites, it dumbed down the movie. But the colony itself, I thought, was an interesting notion.
Yes. It's like I've said for other ones of these, it's a cookie cutter. It's a cookie cutter script. You've got all these great pieces of the puzzle, and you don't know what to do with them. It's escape plan. Stallone and Schwarzenegger. You got Stallone and Schwarzenegger headlining a movie for the first time, and you get all bogged down in a heavy plot about this high-tech print. You're there to have fun, not have to like work to think about what the hell's going on. And this movie started with that right away, which is what I thought I was coming in for. And Rodman being like a cop team or something like that. That's what I thought this movie was. I thought it was going to be something like that.
So you're saying this Van Damme movie was too highbrow for you?
Yeah, it was way too highbrow for me. It had me trying to figure out how Rodman's hair was changing color from scene to scene. I was trying to figure that out.
I'm glad to hear that you're being honest in that's an interesting concept. My takeaway is they had an interesting notion, too many probably cooks in the kitchen, and they Van Dammenized the script, and they watered down what I thought could have been a cool notion for a cool Jean Claude Van Damme movie.
Yeah, it looked like fun, but I remember it not being well received in the past. I'd never seen it before. I watched it last night. And I remember it not being well received, but I'm always willing to give these a shot. Remember the Glimmer Man mentioned that being horribly received. I'm like, could it be that bad? It looks like so much fun. And yeah, it's that bad.
I think the interesting thing about this podcast is for many of these movies, we watched them in our teens, in our 20s, in our 30s, and now we're watching them 20, 25 years later. And does time and maturity or immaturity or whatever you want to call it, does it change our perception of how we see a piece of film?
Myself, I can only speak for myself. Not normally. There are exceptions to the rule, but I truly feel as a movie watcher and a moviegoer, which I've been forever, I feel like I'm watching movies from the same perspective now than I always have been. I feel like I've been, and this is going to sound arrogant, but I feel like I've been intellectually on a cool level with movie watching, and I feel this. I don't feel that I've grown as a moviegoer necessarily, but I don't feel that I have to either. So
You're
wow,
like,
that sounds pompous as shit.
You're like the Arthur Fonzarelli of movie viewing.
Yes, I am. Hey.
Actually, Groo, I would say I don't ever consider myself cool, but I would say probably I'm still seeing it the same way 25 years later. For the most part, if I didn't like a movie in 99,
yeah, that's
I'm
my
probably not
point.
going to like it in 2023.
Yeah, I've had a few exceptions, but none that I could think of off the top of my head.
Groo, next movie in which Jean Claude Van Damme was going to star in after Double Team was an action horror movie called Abominable, which was described as a predator in snow, in which his character would have to save a group of people. I believe I've read about this before. Save a group of people lost in the snowy mountains from Abominable Snowman. Between 1995 and 2000, directors Peter Hyams and Rennie Harlin were involved in the project, but due to poor box office results of Van Damme films, Universal Studios canceled the Abominable project. Any thoughts on the Abdominal or Abominable? I feel like I've read that even back in the day that there was a Predator with Jean Claude in it that they were going to consider doing.
I don't know. At this point, the way they were making these movies, that would have been the wrong direction, I think. Yeah. A special effects heavy movie that they're not going to be willing to spend the money on. No.
Did you hear about the Loch Ness Monster versus Billy Joel movie that this spec
Well, see
script
that I would
going?
pay to see because I would pay to see because it's two different styles meshing, and they might produce magic. You put a grappler in the ring with a high flyer. Sometimes you get magic.
Groo, final movie fun fact: Jack asks who is Deadeye, slides a case with a precision rifle to the woman, and asks if she can shoot a target at 200 yards. I remember the scene. She assembles the rifle and says, "With this, I could shoot the dick off a hummingbird." Like most birds, hummingbirds don't have a penis. They have a cloaca. Groo is a rear orifice that serves as the only opening for the digestive, reproductive, and urinary tracts of many vertebrate animals. All amphibians, reptiles, birds, and a few mammals have this orifice from which they excrete both urine and feces.
Excellent.
This is in contrast to most placental mammals who have 2 or 3 separate orifices for evacuation. Cloaca.
Hey.
Cloaca.
Thank you, class. Dismissed.
Thank you. Groo, do you want to get to your Nothing Worthwhile Van Dammit money shot?
Yes.
All right, let's cue it up. We're going to bring back the old segment. It's Nothing Worthwhile, the money shot.
Nothing Worthwhile presents.
Dropping fucking loads on
The Money Shot.
I just like hearing that.
I know
clip.
you do.
Groo, we're going to bring back the money shot. Was there one scene, one winning scene, or your favorite scene, or something that stood out? What was the scene that was the money shot for you for 1997 Double Team?
I guess it was Rodman's first scene where he meets him for the first time, and you see what kind of guy Rodman is, and it was good because it made me think what kind of movie this was going to be. Didn't quite turn out that way, but I remember enjoying the scene and being like, all right, more of this. This is good. Because so far I wasn't feeling it. But then when we got there and I saw a tinge of chemistry, I was like, okay, good. This is going to be good. But unfortunately, it was downhill from there. So that would be my money shot.
Respect the choice. I felt like early on with the Dennis Rodman scenes, they were just so over the top with his androgynous look, and he's in the red light district where literally everyone is a sexual deviant. Like there's a woman, like a stripper with like underwater in an aquarium, and I don't know. It just was like it just felt very over the top generalizations and stereotypical late 90s grunge elements. I don't know. It just, this will clue you in a little bit to how I felt about the film, but it just felt like for me, and this ties into the Rodman stuff, it was like Van Damme said, let me get the latest, hottest Asian director that's going to synthesize my martial arts skills with cinema to make an effective film. And I'll leave it there. Before I get to my final review.
Yeah, but your description of the scene is right, but it added, the reason I liked it, it added some color into what essentially was a black and white movie up until that point.
Okay.
So that's my reasoning why I chose that one.
Okay. For me, there were two scenes that stood out, but the one really was his escape from the colony. That was like my money shot. It was silly but fun. It combined, you got your Rocky IV training elements in his little cottage room. He's like kicking the walls and like doing pull-ups, gaining strength after his big injury. And then he's lifting like barrels of cement in his like hotel room. And then he like goes full MacGyver, like he's like holding his breath underwater with a cigarette burning to figure out how much time he has with the laser. And then he cuts his like skin and then uses like a can of Coke with like chemicals to use.
Coke.
By the way,
Coke.
By the way, Coca Cola placement all over this movie. By the way,
Placement. They're the hero. Them all at the end. The fucking vending machine.
I know, so silly. I did enjoy. There was a fight where he fought some like bald Asian dude who had like a knife in his foot. There was a lot of like foot fetishy, like he was like trying to stab him with his foot. And do you remember that fight?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Anyway. Oy Vasemir. Boy, that was my money shot. All right, Groo. You are an expert on this. I was listening. I was flossing and brushing my teeth this morning in preparation, and I listened to our old podcast, and you got it right on the head. You guessed $70 million for Alien versus Predator. Andrew, you want to take a gander at the budget for 1997 Double Team?
Yeah, they spent less money on this. Yeah. They spent they spent less money on this. It wasn't a complete like joke as far as there was some good stuff and there was some expensive stuff, but I'm going to say the budget was probably somewhere around $25 million.
I got to tell you, my man knows his cinema dollars. $30 million I have
$30
budget
million, all right.
for. I just have one number, worldwide gross, and it was gross. The box office take for 97 Double Team.
Okay, I remember this doing very well, but it not being a bomb either. I remember it signaling like Van Damme was on his way on the back nine of his stardom. So I'm going to say it made around $40 million.
Close enough, $48.1 million.
48.1. All right. I underestimated both.
But your general feelings aside were spot on. Groo, Rotten Tomatoes gave the film an approval rating of 11% based on 19 critical reviews. Rotten Tomatoes audience score was 25% based off of 25,000 plus reviews. I got just two critics. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times said Van Damme was better in earlier films such as Time Cop and Sudden Death because he had more to do. Here he's at the mercy of a jam-packed plot. I think that's a valid criticism. Mike Clark of USA Today said, Rodman is more fun to watch here than either co-star given his array of earrings and nose rings, plus hair that changes color more frequently than the First Lady changes her outfits. Mike Clark, USA Today. Andrew, your final review, 0 to 4 fingerprints. What do you give Double Team? The floor is yours, my friend.
All right. First of all, again, the movie was misrepresented, and that works to its disadvantage because this movie would have been better if they utilized what they had. Rodman is good. He can command the screen, and he's believable, even if it's a one note character. He's good, and they should have used him more, and I'm surprised he didn't do more stuff afterwards. But that being said, this movie is absolutely terrible. I hated it. I was really pissed off. It was pieces of crap. But look, I don't know why you're laughing so hard, but it's
I'm
when
enjoying
you have
your review.
All right, when you have cool stuff, okay? Yes, this is cool stuff. But if you throw a whole bunch of shit on that cool stuff, what is it? It's shit.
Still shit.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's shit. All right? And that's what they've got here. They've got a couple cool things. They've got a cool idea with the colony out of a different movie. They got a great villain with a great actor, Mickey Rourke, from a different... I'd be willing to bet that Van Damme and Mickey Rourke were never filmed a scene together. The way this movie was shot, it was like they never worked together. Like, it just seemed that way. It was that disjointed and that pasted together. The martial arts, it was like there was some slow motion that was like, it looked like stop motion animation.
It's funny, if I could interject, it's funny you say that because on a lot of the movie fun facts, which I didn't include, you could clearly see the stunt doubles like well into the movie.
And the green screen was horrible.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, this. It takes you out of whatever's happening. Now, if the movie was a more lighthearted, not Lethal Weapon type, but more just having fun with Van Damme and Rodman, you could forgive those other things. But if you're trying to get us to take this shit seriously, no way in hell. And it was just sloppy with the editing. Literally, Rodman's hair changes from scene to scene. And there's literally no time in the movie that he's able to do that. It's like same costume, different hair. Like, what's going on? And it's just bad movie making on all levels. And unfortunately, a good concept. There are two good concepts. And the movie never commits to either of them. And you have a mess. And the one final thing, I'm not accepting it anymore. I'm done after this movie. Okay? They better start naming fucking Van Damme like more appropriate names. All right? This guy's not Jack Quinn. Give me a fucking break. And by the way, okay, I have a question for you, Evan. All right?
Go ahead.
You've worked for God and country. You've risked your life. You're whatever. You're retired. You're living in this gorgeous house on the ocean with a gorgeous wife with a baby on the way. All the money in the world, evidently. You missed the game. Go fuck yourself. Get out of my house. No way. The movie should have ended right there. There's no way. But you got to make him. You make him a pauper. Make him really miss the game. Okay, make him a miserable bastard.
That's a fair criticism. But obviously, Andy, you're a movie guy. There's how many? It's the standard trope of the guy who's going to go in one more time for the big kill or one more time for the score.
So you're going to make the stakes as high as they could possibly be, no matter how unbelievable it is. All the money in the world, baby a week away or whatever it is. Are you kidding me?
I think your point, making him a pauper, that might have been a more effective, all kidding aside, that might have been a more effective plot point.
Yeah, these kind of things that they establish right away. And by the way, okay, I know I'm getting long-winded here, but I told myself I was going to say it, and I'm going to say it. Okay?
Go ahead.
3 minutes into this movie, we're already knee-deep into everything. We have no idea who's who or why or anything. So by the time anything's happening, we don't give a shit. We don't care. We don't know these people. I forgot everybody's name already, except for Jack Quinn because it's Jean Claude and Yaz. That's it. Everybody else I forgot because I watched a movie afterwards that's just as silly, just as ridiculous, but you love it because you believe it because the acting and the writing is so good. And that movie is, don't hate me, but it's a movie called Toy Soldiers. You remember that movie? Remember that movie?
Yes.
Absolutely absurd premise in every sense of the word. But it's an absolute blast to watch because they sell it the way these guys failed to do, which is why I'm giving it 1/2 a, what was it? Some fingerprint scan. 1/2, just for the fact that Dennis Rodman was enjoyable when he was on screen doing his thing. Other than that, an absolute zero of a movie. 1/2.
All right, so Andrew gives Double Team a 1/2 of a fingerprint. I'll take a run at it. I enjoyed listening to Andrew's rants on Double Team. You know how Moody does it, the good, the bad, and the final review. The good, I've already mentioned, I like the subplot of the colony. I thought it was an interesting one. They definitely could have fleshed it out a bit more. Bad, oh boy, where do I begin? The film is shot almost like a music video, quick jump cuts that are neither interesting nor effective. As I said before, it feels like Jean Claude is just handpicking the next hottest Asian director that will be able to synthesize his martial arts deal with cinema to make an interesting film, and it fails big time here. The Jean Claude playbook, you get JCVD with a deep cast, is nowhere to be found here. Dennis Rodman, I'll give a slight disagreement to Andrew. I get it. In 97, he's the it guy in pop culture. He's a very famous basketball player. He's big with wrestling, but he's an entertainer. He's not an actor here. He delivers his lines in a kind of like a snarky, over-the-top fashion. I didn't hate it, but I didn't really see it as adding much to the film. Mickey Rourke delivers a poor one-note performance here. He barely speaks for the first half of the movie, and when he does, it's almost comical. Rodman has an excuse. He's not an actor. Mickey Rourke has no excuse here, and this reflects, perhaps, I don't know Mickey Rourke's filmography, but it could be his low point of his acting career. It's really that bad. Final review, it's the worst Jean Claude Van Damme film to date. It lacks the kitschy charm of his earlier low-budget movies where they had no money. But as Andrew said, and here's my notes, it feels like the inevitable decline is coming off sudden death, which I enjoyed. This is a major disappointment. I'll give it a 1/2 fingerprint because I enjoyed the colony.
All right.
I enjoyed the colony storyline, which of course they made into a silly subplot. Groo, I'd call this film dog shit, but it would be offensive to dog shit. A fingerprint for a Double Team.
There you go. We agree completely.
I think my biggest question is assuming this is coming off of sudden death, which I think performed well at the box office. I believe we went over it. It's hard for me to remember all the numbers and figures. You know, it's clear here, just like your take, it feels like we're on the back nine. We're starting the back nine.
Yeah, and there are ways to avoid that. Like somebody on the set saying, hey, listen, guys, we're blowing up the fucking Coliseum. That's probably going to not play very well. If it offends some people, fine, but it's really stupid. And guess what? What saves everybody? A Coke machine. Yes, I know they paid us. I know they're financing this movie, but we can come up with something better than that. You got to have some common sense. If you know that your ass is on the line, if Van Damme had any sense, he would have been like, all right, we can't, now's not the time to start taking chances. You got to go with sure things. And at that time, Mickey Rourke was not a sure thing. And maybe they weren't available. And maybe just Van Damme was like, hey, work is work at this point. I don't know.
If you're talking about the explosion, earlier in the movie, a single grenade takes out Jean Claude with like severe burns on his back. And here, one Coke machine literally saves 3 people from imminent 5th-degree burns. The other thing is with that final fight, you knew right away the tiger was going to somehow turn and fuck up the bad guys.
I forgot about the tiger, for Christ's sake. Like, what?
Yeah.
Are they just like, all right, what can we do? Oh, we're in the Coliseum. Let's get a tiger. Let's go all Julius Caesar on this thing. And even like right away in the beginning, when after they flash forward to the present, when the guy from the government comes to lure him out of retirement, that guy, you know, they were like overdubbing his voice.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, you got to be less blatant than that. Like, I don't know what the guy sounded like in real life, but It's hey, I knew you could be here. Let's go. Okay, John Claude, Jack Quinn. Like what? Like you can't be sitting there as a studio executive and watching this and saying, "All right, listen, here's another $10,000. Get somebody who knows how to do this shit and just do this." Like,
not only that, within the first, I hate to, I'll go even further. Literally within the opening credits, I was like, I knew I wasn't going to like the way it was shot.
Yeah.
It was like music video, like porn music. It just was, I just knew right off
nothing
the bat.
against porn music, but not here.
Hopefully, Andrew, you can give us I know we took your Moonlighting, but could you give us a recommendation for something to watch this week? Come on, give us one other thing you're watching this week.
Yes, you're not going to like it. You're not going to like it, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
Mean?
All right, so on Paramount Plus, there's...
Don't tell me the Stallone reality show.
No, I never watched that.
Okay.
But there is a Stallone documentary coming out on Netflix soon. I forget, like in November or December.
All right, yeah.
But anyway,
he's doing the Schwarzenegger thing.
I'm into that. But anyway, what I am watching right now, I watched the first episode of the reboot or continuation of Frasier, which I expected to loathe because I read the reviews and I found myself quite engaged with it. I didn't find it hilarious, chuckled a couple of times, truly enjoy Kelsey Grammer as Frasier. That's why I enjoyed the show. So I'm going to watch the second episode, and if it continues to entertain me, I'll watch all 10. But so that's what I'm watching this week. I am checking out Moonlighting, like I said before. I enjoyed the first episode of the new Frasier, I must say.
My brother Andrew watched it, and he was maybe a slightly more lukewarm on it than you. He missed the brother and the dad, those characters. But anyway, no interest. But I don't think I was much of a Frasier fan.
I wasn't either that much. On Cheers, yes. The show Frasier, I didn't watch much. A few here and there, and I knew who the people were. But
supposedly they're going to do some maybe cameos with Cheers.
I should hope so. He is in Boston, but it doesn't really need it. It's like right now, like the way it started, it seems pretty good, but we'll see.
All right.
What are you watching?
Andrew, I watched a 2023 Netflix original movie, Reptile, starring Justin Timberlake, Benicio del Toro, Alicia Silverstone, and Eric Bogosian.
Ooh, when was
Del
this?
Toro plays it. It's on Netflix. Watched it couple of nights ago. Marie Del Toro plays like a grizzled cop with a past assigned to a murder case involving a female real estate agent who was seeing Justin Timberlake's character. Another like whodunit that unravels as the movie progresses. Top-notch acting. It's great to see Alicia Silverstone, who looks like $1 million.
Really? I haven't seen her in years.
Yeah, Alicia Silverstone is back in a major role. She plays Benicio's wife. Wholeheartedly recommend Reptile. Reminded me of Copland.
Really? How is Eric Bogosian? I'm a big fan of Eric Bogosian.
Eric Bogosian has a small but very pertinent role in the movie. He's good.
All right.
He's good.
And you know something? It's interesting that you bring up Justin Timberlake, and I'll tell you why. Because either yesterday or the day before, I was watching just sometimes I put on Peacock and I'll just let Saturday Night Live just roll. And they have, different clips or different sketches, and it's pretty cool, actually. And they had when he and Jimmy Fallon, hosted the 40th anniversary of Saturday Night Live and the opening, number that they did. Mm-hmm. That son of a bitch is so talented.
Yeah, he is talented.
It's annoying. Because he's not even that good looking. He looks like a normal dude. But the fucking talent there, the shit he's able to do, no wonder girls get all whatever.
Well,
for him,
I've never been too high on him, but then I saw a YouTube clip of him covering the Rolling Stones' "Miss You" in concert. That was super good, and he did a rap interlude in the middle of it, and I didn't mind it, and I started coming around a little bit on him. I think he's a talented cat too. You'll like him here. Is he the murderer? Is he not? And he squares off.
So Reptile. Netflix.
Yeah, really good movie. Really good movie on Netflix.
Okay. All right. Sounds good to me.
All right, so we got Frasier, we got Reptile. Groo and I return back to the mothership, Nothing Worthwhile. We're going to check out the 40th anniversary of what is considered one of the greatest live concert films of all time. It's the Talking Head. It's Talking Heads. It stopped making sense. Andrew?
Yes, can't wait. Yes, I'm really what?
Trying to set it up, and he's just singing.
And I'm giving you giving you some background Talking Heads music.
Some layering. Go ahead.
Take me to the river. Yeah, I've been rewatching that movie lately in spurts, and I'm really looking forward to talking about it with you because it's fun to watch these things. And I've been watching these people on YouTube. They're called Red Letter Media. And basically, they just sit there and drink and get drunk and watch movies and laugh. And
are they paying you? You've mentioned Red Letter Media now.
No, I just wish because if you didn't move out to Arizona, that's what we'd be doing here. And and like when I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm sitting here, it's fun, man. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about Stop Making Sense, the Talking Heads masterpiece.
But we can do a drinking show. We just got to come up with a concept, and every time we say like Cody Rhodes, we do a shot or something like that.
Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that like your wedding week. We'll see what's going on at that point.
Oh,
we'll like do a watch along.
We do a bachelor party week or something like that. That's more appropriate.
Oh, a watch along. That's our level of debauchery. We're going to do a watch along podcast. Oh my God. We're going to watch Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks and Adrian Zmed.
There you go. Groo, when we return back to Van Damme, we'll take a break from the films and hit up season 1 of Amazon's Jean Claude Van Johnson, starring Jean Claude Van Damme, Kat Foster, and Felicia Rashad. Jean Claude Van Damme has 2 lives: Damme as an actor and Johnson as a secret agent. Jean Claude Van Johnson.
Is this like Steven Seagal Lawman?
No, it's Steven Seagal. Remember I said I loved Steven Seagal Lawman.
So did I. We've talked about it before. It was fun.
That.
And this sounds like fun too. It sounds like also that movie JCVD. Like we got to do that at some point. That's supposed to be pretty good. Good.
It's on.
But yeah, this sounds like a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
I will be curious to see Jean Claude on the small screen. How that
how it plays.
Yeah.
It played. It's all in the writing. It's all in how it's done. Worked for Stallone, didn't quite work for Schwarzenegger because of the quality of the material. So it's really all about that.
Before we go, any news on Tulsa King season 2? Because I really super enjoy.
So did I. Everything is still stopped as far as acting is concerned because of the actors' strike, which is still out.
Right.
So I would think there should be updates as far as writing is concerned soon. I know Cobra Kai has started hinting at them getting going again. So hopefully, some shows have been like canceled, even ones that were announced that were going to continue. So I don't think Tulsa King is on that list, and I hope it's not because it was good stuff. But no, I don't have any information, unfortunately.
All right, Groo, we hope everyone has enjoyed this podcast. Andrew, take us out of here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you and yours for joining us today. It's been quite an adventure going down the road to Double Team. Double Team with Jean Claude Van Damme and the great Dennis Rodman, the Worm himself. Next week, of course, we will be talking about the great... what are we doing?
Talking Heads. Oh my!
Yeah.
Yes.
Stop making sense.
Stop
making sense. The Talking Heads next week, followed by Jean Claude Van Johnson in 2 weeks with another trip to Van Dammit land. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like to say to you is no retreat and
no surrender. Knock Sue Cow, everybody.